A boy band song for this movie is what we really needed. Not so much boys as in Bryan Adams, Rod Stewart, Sting. We
The
needed some
boys,
sort of
like Sting.
like 98 Degrees, In Sync, Backstreet Boys. They were all kicking off like in 1996, right?
What
I
would
don't
their
remember.
song have
Yeah.
been? What would their song have been? It would have been like what do you think it would have been the exact same song?
I mean, it
Well, I was doing
definitely
some Googling. I was doing some Googling about the actual song, and I discovered that there's a Color Me Bad song called All for Love.
oh,
So it would probably be that.
See, the All for Love is the one I don't like. You can do All for One and One for All as a song. It doesn't have to be for love. They're not, this movie's not about love. It very only,
It's all about love.
it's not. One guy hated his wife so much that he gave her up because she had a fleur-de-lis on her shoulder. And then at the end, he's like, "Oh, sorry." And then D'Artagnan has like a passing acquaintance. No one's really in love in this movie, other than I guess the king and the queen. Question
Yeah,
mark?
they've got hard eyes towards each other in script form.
Again, this is
Yeah.
Bryan Adams, I think, tainting it with "I did everything I did for you." That's a love song for Robin and Marion because there's love there. Well, let's get into this. Let's get into this hunky final episode of the Three Musketeers, which I'm delighted to talk about. Let's do it.
welcome to Swordboys Cut by Cut, where we are talking about the Three Musketeers. I am your host, Rick.
I am also a host. My name is Jonathan.
I am the host, and I am Robin.
That's right. And we have our D'Artagnan for this episode, none other than Sean German.
Hello, I'm the fourth musketeer here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. We are talking about Cut 6.
Musketeers.
It's a good joke.
Cut 6 begins at 1 hour, 26 minutes and goes all the way to the end of the movie at 1 hour, 45 minutes, 23 seconds. It begins with Richelieu revealing his evil scheme to the king and queen, and it ends with Bryan Adams, Rod Stewart, and Sting singing All for Love over the credits.
Oh man, I'm actually kind of sad. I'm sad we're going to be losing this movie. It's fun. I'm sad. I'm sad for what our next movie. I mean, our next movie is going to be great too, but I'm just sad. I'm sad, guys.
It's going to be a very a huge shift in tone. Maybe we can tease it out. It's going to be a totally different time period, totally different country.
Country, sure, yes, that's the word I'm looking for. It's a different country.
Yes, an undiscovered country. If
the
you
country
will.
of Eternia.
Who knows where in the universe it could be?
I don't know, but I hope I get to be a master of it.
Yep,
better that than Master of the Air. Anyway.
Well, you just want to just shit on that TV show anywhere you can.
2 months later, I'm gonna really give it to it. Tom Hanks unsubscribes.
Tom, no, come back. At least we have Chet Hanks. At least he won't leave us. He's a true sword boy. Well, yeah, and as Rick said, we true to form, we've had a fourth on every episode of the Three Musketeers because with the Three Musketeers, there's always a fourth. Weird that they wrote it that way. Weird that he named the book the Three Musketeers when it could have been named the Four Musketeers at any point and no one would have noticed.
Thruples are outdated anyway.
I guess so.
We're moving on to quadruples.
I guess the big thing to start with at the end of this is, Sean, what's your history with this movie? Have you seen it before? Do you like it? Like, what's your beef? Getting beefs?
Where's the beef, by the way?
Where's the beef? So my history of this film is I saw it for the first time this week.
Oh, really?
Love it.
Because I heard there was a podcast coming out, so I'm like, oh, I should watch the film to be up to date. And I enjoyed it. Funny, it's a little trip back to the '90s to when all these people, all these actors were young and spry and jumping around,
young and beautiful, and not ugly and gross and old like they are now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part, I enjoyed it. I really just had a minor beef. Two things. One, similar to Star Wars, we spend the whole time rooting for the bad guys. Like the Three Musketeers are not good. I mean, maybe they're less bad than, the redcoats, the guys in red and the followers of the Cardinal. Like, okay, they're worse, but they're fighting for the king. And it pertains to this section at the end. The king's talking about freedom and everything. It's like, well, no, nobody's free. No one voted for you. You're a monarch. Like, okay, like, so maybe he's, a better king than Tim Curry would be and not as dramatic, but he's still a king. He's still the bad guy. And all these guys, all the musketeers are, they're just fighting for the status quo. They're, they're the third way Democrats that are like, yeah, no, this isn't, this is just mildly evil. So this is not as bad. But then my other, I think a more important beef was that the key moments in a lot of these fights involve firearms.
Oh yeah, we talked about that early on. Yeah.
I was promised a Swordboy movie. I wanted a sword, and certainly there's plenty of swords, but kind of when the real danger comes out, then the guns start firing.
It is.
Like, no, whatever happened to live by the sword, die by the sword.
I mean, later on, wait until we do our 10-part series on Shogun. Because that also, there's swords all the time, but every once in a while a cannon comes out and just fucks everybody up. Yeah. And I agree. We said this earlier because I think I said, I don't remember there being, I think I said initially, I don't remember there being as many guns as there are in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, the title gives it away.
Yeah.
There's going to be at least 3 guns.
You run the risk when the title literally has the word musket in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
but
yeah,
it's weird. It's like they're musketeers. Their name says gun, but their reputation says sword. So
do they ever touch? Do any of these 4 touch a musket in this entire movie? I don't think so. Oh wait, Kiefer has a musket. Does he have a musket when he's by himself, or does he only have 2 pistols?
In that scene,
is there a musket?
D'Artagnan handed Athos a musket.
Okay, good. So the movie is viable now that it actually, but I don't think it ever happens anywhere else that these 4.
No, Porthos does the whole Raiders of the Lost Ark move with the
not with a musket.
Oh, he chops the rope and he. Oh, never mind.
I mean a gun. No, he shot him earlier. He shot the other guy. He shot the Asian gentleman on the boat. No, he didn't. No, wait, I'm saying he didn't shoot him either. He just
he dropped him down to shoot.
He only shot the old guy in the main area when he's like, ha, and he like pulls a gun in a knife fight, basically.
Yep.
What Sean is talking about.
To a knife.
And then the gun pulls a knife.
Yeah, the gun pulls a knife, and he's like, I love this. Like he's never used it, which is great. But
so wait, are they and you can cut this if you've covered this in a previous episode, but so are the musketeers named after muskets, or are muskets named after like, oh, these particular people use this type of firearm, let's name that after, they're the musketeers. So the gun they end up using is called a musket.
I think they're musketeers first. I think they was a musket.
Yeah.
And then they were made into, because before this, they would have just been the swordteers.
Swordy swords.
Or is it coincidence? Maybe the 2 terms just are, separate parallel evolution and coincidence of history.
See, I thought it was a whole thing where I was like, they are technically infantry that are being used as like royal guards. So if they need to go fight a war, they're the ones with the muskets.
So it's because it's 1625. It's 1625-ish. And the point is that the gun rules battles, but for some reason, the sword still has a lot of cachet. Let's put it that way in military at this point. Whereas in the 1620s, if you showed up at a battle with 4 swords, you're kind of screwed. But everyone's a musketeer or rifleman. Everyone's a rifleman, I assume. I don't really know how it works.
Okay, so the musket. So the term musket first appears in 1499, but the actual firearm doesn't seem to appear till the 1520s. So this is it's kind of like a computer situation. So a computer used to be, it was like a job title, like people that just did manually.
A computer.
It was a computer, that manually did those computations, that did the math. And then later on, we developed a machine that took over that job. So it's kind of like the same there. Like these were musketeers. They were sent out to hurt people. And then we realized, hey, we've got this thing that will throw these little balls very quickly that will hurt people at a distance. And they kind of took over. So there, another job lost to automation.
Is the smell that a musket puts off just technically musk?
Yes, it is a musk.
Yeah, musk.
Also, at the end of the day, China invented gunpowder, so another job lost to Chinese, automation and know-how. God.
Well, if we send Michael Keaton in, he'll probably make it all better.
Yes.
They don't really quite know the ways of making the muskets.
Did he have a movie called Gun-Ho?
Gun-Ho.
Anyway, so
yeah, speaking of people losing their jobs.
Cardinal Richelieu is about to lose his job.
He's attempting to take the job away from the king.
He is.
He's like, hey, let's go to the throne room and I'll monologue at you for a little while and we'll see how that goes.
This is weird because he already knows that the musketeers are on their way. So there's no reason for him to be sitting in this chair. They should be leaving immediately. They should be leaving. And I love it. I love he's like, oh, so humbly, I shall take this job. I'll sit on the throne with my queen at my side. And then, of course, it's I'd rather be dead. And that can be arranged, which cannot have been in the script. And it's just a hymn. So good.
That could be arranged. That can be arranged.
Top-notch Tim Curry delivery.
There's no way, Robin, unless you changed your musical thing on Zoom, there's no way that you're yelling ever just came through. We'll find out.
Oh, I thought I changed it last time.
Maybe you did. Does it say original sound for musicians off up at the top?
Yes.
That means you can scream. Awesome.
Awesome.
So, King Louis is very quick to point out, hey, your assassination attempt failed. Your sniper missed, and now everybody's in a panic, so your coup is not going to work out. And Cardinal Richelieu is like, well, bad news for you. I was in my college improv group, and I'm yes-anding the situation. So instead of relying on the sniper, we're going to use this conveniently in Rochefort's possession sword that used to belong to a famous musketeer, and we're going to stab you through the heart.
I have a question about that. I have a question. I feel like there was a dialogue was messed up here. They messed something up. Let me tell you why. Everybody. By the way, you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They messed up because he says he will be found stabbed through the heart by a sword that belonged to a musketeer, a sword that failed to protect his father.
Yeah, because it's D'Artagnan's father's sword that he got back in the dungeon scene.
I know that, but he said his father. He's not mentioning D'Artagnan. He's mentioning the king. Did he kill the king too with his sword?
No.
Well,
remember Gerard. Gerard was making fun of D'Artagnan because D'Artagnan's father failed to protect the previous king.
D'Artagnan didn't say that.
No.
Yeah,
Gerard said it to D'Artagnan so that we would know about it. So the sword that belonged to D'Artagnan's father failed to save the previous king. How? And that sword that failed to save the previous king is going to be used to kill the current king.
But the previous king was killed. So the previous king was killed by Richelieu's machinations, correct?
You're absolutely right, Jonathan. I'm looking. I have the dialogue.
Look at the word. Look at the dialogue. He says it as if it's D'Artagnan he's talking to.
It will be found pierced through the heart by the sword of a musketeer, the same sword that failed to protect his father, meaning that it might be young D'Artagnan's father's sword.
I understand what Rick's saying.
Grandfather.
Rick's trying to say that he's saying that your father, the king of France, was not protected by this sword, but did his father die? I mean, of course he died. He's the king. But did his father die in a coup? They never talk about that.
It's not Louis's father.
That's what they say.
That's who we're talking about.
Yeah,
he's saying Louis' his father.
Yeah, the king's father.
I don't understand. It's awkward dialogue. Yeah. However, it's put in there.
I'm saying.
I took it to mean that Richelieu arranged for the assassination of the previous king, hoping that the younger heir would be more easily controlled.
Which he is, but now he's going to have to kill him too. All this stuff, guys. There's a fight outside. You need to get the hell out of here.
No, he's right at this point confident that the musketeers aren't going to get in. Okay. So he's like, I'm going to monologue for a bit. What I'm thinking right here is he is surrounded by their red guards all over the place, ready to fight the musketeers once they come in. But are they all corrupt? Are they all like, wait a second, he's going to kill our king in front of us?
No, like, as Sean said, they're righteous in that they are there to protect the king. Now
he's saying, I'm going to kill the king, though.
Yeah, maybe they're out of earshot. Maybe they're out of earshot of.
Here's how I'm going to frame a musketeer for the death of the king.
Well, these aren't musketeers.
All good with this, right?
Well, these aren't musketeers. These are whatever. These are the Richelieu's guards.
Yeah, the cardinal guards are loyal only to the cardinal and the church. They don't care about the king in the same way that the blue guys do. So red is church, blue is monarchy. There's no one representing the common people of this country, as Sean pointed out.
And Roachfort is black for evil. He's just evil.
Exactly.
I mean, I always assumed that people who are like really devoutly religious were rational as well. Like this is a little messed up. Maybe they should say something. Are they in a cult? Or
I mean, it depends on who you ask. I am really used to Tim Curry when he gets into a gloating mood, for him to break into song a la Muppet Treasure Island.
Obviously, there could have been a song.
I still have to watch that.
In Treasure Island, he sings about how great it is to be a pirate and how it's such a great job for him. It's unfortunate that this movie isn't a musical, because it would be great to hear Tim Curry sing about how great it is to be the cardinal and to have all of these different privileges that he could exploit and whatnot. But unfortunately, all he gets to do is kick the furniture.
I don't think I want to hear Kiefer Sutherland sing.
Isn't he part of a band?
He's got albums.
Is he?
Yeah, he's a country dad rock.
Oh my God. He does. Doesn't mean I want to listen to it. This is a music reference that I don't want to hear about. This sounds awful.
I'm a huge fan of Kiefer's. I'm not interested in his music. No offense, Kiefer, if you're listening.
Well, Craptain Roachfort is about to kill the king, skewer the king. We get a wonderful smile. I mean, his acting in this.
Oh God, he's delicious in this cut.
And this is his. I'd say this is his best. This is his like swan song for this movie. He gets to eat a lot of scenery because they kind of split up. They split Roachfort and he split up. I mean, he's so like when Kiefer Sutherland arrives and he's like, we finally got their time. The glee at which Roachfort like throws off his hat and throws off his little sash. He's so excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that line. I hope we're not interrupting, because it's like they definitely are interrupting.
Yes,
but that's the funny thing. Like he's like he doesn't actually hope that he's interrupting.
Is Athos the best swordsman? Is that what the movie's kind of telling us at this point?
I think they're secretly like trying to imply that maybe D'Artagnan is the best swordsman because he's
he only wins. He wins because he cheats.
Right.
He wins on a technicality.
Yeah.
Because Athos gets hurt in the arm and then actually just was like, I'm just as good with my left hand.
Oh, I know. Yeah, he totally does. I will say he does let out some very Palance-esque. He does a lot of that, and it's all like terrible ADR. Like he's being tossed about and whatever, and the ADR comes in, he's just like, and it's very it's Palance-esque. It's also very Brosnan-esque. The pained screaming from him is.
I would love a behind the scenes. I know that Kiefer Sutherland talks about this kind of stuff, but I would love a Craptain Roachfort behind the scenes, because they seem to be doing a lot of this fight.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure there are definitely parts where we're not seeing him, like when I can't see his face, but there's a lot where you can see both their faces, which I'm always impressed with.
I love how he's just like tossing his hair about. His sword is taking like precise slice. He's got his hand tucked behind his back. He's got very jaunty, sword.
I hope if this was shot by the actual director, this is excellent work. Fight choreography wise. I love Athos. I love Porthos. Porthos is having some sort
the
of
time of his life.
He's like,
Oh yeah.
He's just in his element.
I'm a
having the
little
best of it.
concerned. I'm a little concerned by how like viciously effective Aramis is being. He's not being flourishy. He's
No.
not trying to parry.
Right.
It's just like dead.
Well,
It's like,
he's a man of God. He knows that you're not supposed to embellish, and you know, you just get the work done.
If he wasn't like also into like wooing women and poetry and all that
Wenching.
stuff, wenching. Yeah,
Wenching.
That's what we call it these days. You would think that he's more serious than Athos because he's got the whole like I must do this without enjoying myself. I guess I don't know. It's very choreographed and concentrated. So
Well, maybe maybe he's the weakest of the swordsmen because he was a priest first. And so this is his second career. And as someone who has started a second career, it's sometimes kind of hard to get up, ramp up to speed with these guys who've been basically fighting their entire lives. And this is where we were just talking about. This is where Sean, the scene with the gun comes out. What's a cardinal doing with a gun? Aramis says that you're not going to get by me. You're done. I'm taking you in, whatever. Great stuff. And he
should a
shoots
cardinal have full immunity? Like, can a cardinal just shoot somebody in the middle of the street and get away with it?
I think so.
Okay.
Apparently, yes.
In the 1625s, yes.
Yeah. Because as I guess everybody knows, and especially Aramis should know, that the cardinal does not answer to the laws of men. And it's like, yeah, but we base a lot of laws of men off of the quote unquote laws of God. So there's a lot of overlap there.
Look, the president of the United States is supposed to be above the law. Cardinal Richelieu is supposed to be above the law.
I can't believe you're making this political.
Cardinal Richelieu is going to instate himself as king and then give himself a blood.
Yeah.
And we come to the point where we know why we should despise Richelieu totally, and it's that he's a gun boy.
Yeah,
those guys.
He parts his robe, and instead of hiding the moon in the folds, he's hiding a gun.
Imagine if he pulls his robe, he's completely nude. He pulls a gun out, closes it. You didn't see anything.
It would be that crotch gun from Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
From Sex Machine.
Yeah.
From Savini. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So this is where I love this wherewithal that Porthos has. He's like, one of my friends is down. Like there's a whole fight going on, but he knows that Aramis is down. And so he goes running through the fight, and he's like doing the thing where he's like hitting his sword up in the air to knock their swords out of the way.
Yeah.
And he's like pushing people out of the way. It's so good.
There's no worries. He's the hero. He's got plot armor. He's not going to get just stabbed in the back by the 9 other guys behind him that probably could.
Yeah, Porthos has to run over to his buddy who's been down, and he's got to crouch and hold X to revive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's just dizzy right now. He's just like he just needs one turn to get back up. Athos has been wounded in the arm. He is trying to fight Roachfort, and he's about to lose. Roachfort, of course, pulls a knife. Fuck those guys. Knife guys. Fuck those guys.
Yeah, seriously.
He's cheating. He is also cheating. And then, thank goodness, he knocks the sword out of Rochefort's hand, and D'Artagnan picks it up in the only cool way you can pick up a sword.
It's a cool little kick, kind of like what Tom Cruise did in that Australian Mission Impossible, when he was on the beach, kicked it up into the air, and then
part two.
caught it.
Yeah. Is that known as the Australian Mission Impossible?
I don't know the numbers. I just know where they are.
The Australian Mission Impossible 2 tells me you don't know anything about Mission Impossible.
That's not my specialty.
Okay. Australian Mission Impossible 2.
And we have some sword code here. If you bring your sword up to your face, it means tag, you're it.
Yep.
And then, pass it along.
And he throws, of course, being go, Sean.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing that, the good sportsmanship. You can't let someone try to kill you without a sword. So you have to help your enemy for some reason. And
I understand that D'Artagnan wants to be an honorable sort and defeat Rochefort, as a gentleman, but Athos couldn't just like stab him a little bit as he's leaving. Like Athos is looking at the entirety of Rochefort's unprotected back. He can't just kind of like stab him in the kidney at least a little bit.
Poke him in the other eye.
Him up.
Yeah.
Well, this is like D'Artagnan's Inigo Montoya moment.
Yeah,
right.
Even if he seems to be the last person in this movie to realize that this guy killed your father. Like, come on,
Like, you killed my
everyone in
dad?
the audience knew it. How did you not figure
Come
this
on,
out?
man. Well, because if anything, in this movie, the Three Musketeers are very like withholding when it comes to information. The thing I like about this scene is as they start fighting, we get probably the third. They've happened a couple times. But we're gonna have a couple more. I call it the whoosh. Have you guys heard the whoosh? It happens when D'Artagnan jumps over him and he comes into that little move and he's like, whoosh. There's a sound effect they've added.
Oh, yeah.
It's in a couple different places.
I know what you're talking about.
And it's a whoosh, and they've added it. They added it when he said that can be arranged. When he kicks the footstool, there's low, like a kind of like a, you know, like we're big on Dune 2 right now. There's a, you know, kind of like a Dune 2-esque, like ambient noise. It's not music. It's not a music cue. It's just like a menacing sound, almost like the Emperor when he would, you know, when you go to when they cut back to the Emperor's throne room and you hear, but instead of it being that, it was just one note. It's like, almost like the movie's like, this is evil. You should know this is evil. There is
how
a
does
little
it
whoosh.
pertain to Dart's moves?
I don't know. They only do it when they show Rochefort again. So it's almost like he jumps over and there's like a like I don't know why it's in there, but it is in there. If you listen to it, take a few minutes, everybody, and listen to it.
Let's all pause.
And this is the first time of many that D'Artagnan leaves the high ground to fight from the low ground. And as we all know, terrible idea.
Terrible idea.
He does jump over Rochefort. Is this the part where
Twice.
he does it twice? And both times Rochefort does not take the opportunity to cut all his limbs off.
Nope.
Just stick a sword up in the air.
Or poke it right in the air. But Aramis, we were worried he might have been, but I guess the whole Dexter revive.
Thank goodness he was just hit in the chest.
Yeah.
That would kill you.
Like,
I don't care if
it
a
hit your
piece of metal,
cross.
even if it hit my giant chunky cross.
I'm a little worried that the cross is dense enough to stop a bullet, because that might mean that it's like silver coated lead. And if that silver rubs away, that he's just slowly lead poisoning himself.
It's the 1625s. If he dies of lead poisoning, that would be a blessing.
Also, if Aramis is a werewolf, this might have been the end for him anyway.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like him getting hit in the cross that I'm assuming was hanging over his heart is a little dubious, because when the Cardinal pulls out the gun, he seems to be holding the gun kind of down at his waist. So like, was he must have been firing up towards Aramis's heart, because when I saw the shot go off, I'm like, oh no, it's a gut shot. That's going to bleed out and be really painful because it's going into his stomach. But no, apparently it was the Cardinal has impeccable aim at close range, firing off the hip to try and aim for someone's heart, exactly where a pendant is sitting.
I mean, if there's something Cardinal Richelieu is known for, he shoots from the hip. That's why he keeps getting elected. You can have a beer with him.
He's a man of the people.
A cardinal of the people. Yeah.
He really is.
And I love that Aramis is like, see, there is a God. He could also say, see, I am lucky. Pretty lucky.
So now they're off. They get a little swelling of the music because now it's the Three Musketeers back together again.
Yeah,
And
United.
That shot where they burst through the door, they're running at the camera with the light behind them, and somewhere Joel Schumacher's like, I'm going to use that.
If only someone else would come up with a better way to do that in a sequel with better music and a better running at the bad guys. Go listen to our Patreon. Go listen to our Patreon
For Highlander 2.
I'm sitting. It's not a secret at this point. It'll have been out. Our Patreon is the Man in the Iron Mask. So
Yeah.
For what month is it? For
That
April?
was the one at the end of March.
At the end of March.
Because we're releasing our TC booze at the end of March or at the end of the month, and then
If you tell me, that's when we are.
Then we've got our little preview episodes where we discuss what the next movie is going to be. Those are going to start coming in April.
Well, so at this point, they've already come.
Oh wait, that's right. Yeah, because this is May.
Man, we're in the future.
I try so hard to keep the calendar straight, and it's
okay.
not working out.
But go listen to our Patreon, by the way, if you haven't. It's weird to put an ad in the middle of the episode, but here we are. First episode was Highlander 2. Second episode is I feel like the sequel to this movie, which is The Man in the Iron Mask from 1998. Even though it's not, but it's them older. It's 20 years later, whatever it is. It's based on the book 20 years later, which was the second book of the Three Musketeers. So go listen to that. It's excellent. We love that movie. Super fun.
Yeah, we'll talk more about the Patreon at the end of the episode. So
sure, of course. Well, at this point, people have already joined. I mean, we're just talking about stuff everybody knows about.
Yeah. So anyway, we cut down into the dungeon, and the Cardinal runs across his goon.
Dungeon Daddy.
His dungeon.
That's what I wrote down.
Giant.
Dungeon Daddy. I like that.
Is it what do we call him? I was trying to look back in my notes, and I realized I didn't actually write that. I didn't actually come up with a name for the dungeon guys in Beastmaster. What did we call them?
Oh, well, they were sex warriors. What were they? Like S&M sex warriors?
Yeah, that's what we did. That's what we said.
You're getting that confused with our next Patreon.
Maybe they were the Kinks guard. I don't know.
Yeah.
How about Kinksman? Kingsman. Oh, that's good.
Kinksman. Sure.
Kingsman. Yeah, because he was all leather daddied up and wearing chaps. This guy's different. He's just a burly. He's a dom. This is a dom. Yeah. Doing what doms do.
Live my life a quarter wench at a time.
Well, he looks a little bit like Dominic Toretto.
Yeah.
With some bad face stuff. So what do you think happened to his face? Do you think that's from the job? Do you think the job shapes the man, or do you think?
I feel like if you're a dungeon goon or a dungeon daddy or whatever we're calling them, I feel like that's sort of a position that you're born into. Like there's not a lot of upward mobility in your career path. You don't necessarily get to see the sun. Everybody looks at you as some sort of dumb monster, but it is the type of job where you'll never go hungry. You'll always have a place to sleep, and you get to abuse people that are less fortunate than yourself. So really, in 1500s France, what could you ask more for?
It is a pretty good job. Other than whatever the jobs of 1500, 1625 France, your job was either you baked bread, you were a soldier, you were poor. Poor was a job. You just, walked around like, well, I'm poor.
Oh, that's right. We're 1600s France.
Yeah, 1625-ish. Again, remember, Rick, this is all made up.
Yeah. It is historical fiction.
Yes. So yeah, he's gonna fight.
Jonathan doesn't believe France really exists.
I don't think so.
France is not real.
I've never met someone from there, so
I will say one thing about the dungeon goon is that Cardinal Richelieu trusts him enough to come up with a plan to stop these musketeers. He's not going to micromanage this guy. It's like, listen, dungeon dude, this is your domain. I'm giving you a task to stop the musketeers. We're being followed. Do something about it. I trust you to do the rest.
Imagine a world where he's actually more a man of the king. He's like, hey, wait a minute. No, you can't take the rightful king of France with you. I don't know why he's British. You can't take the rightful king of France with you. That's against the purview of the Magna. Blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, you're supposed to be on our side. No, I've always been a king's man, a king's man.
Yeah.
So
I like the idea that they're on speaking terms. Like Curry talks to him like they've had conversation. Oh, hey, you do something about it. Like he doesn't like.
Sean is right.
Cardinal Richelieu.
He's a man of the people.
They go way back.
Yeah. Okay.
That's where you get Richelieu was big on that. Management by walking around philosophy. He would walk around the dungeons and get to know the little people. And
right. Yeah. I was carrying his coffee mug.
You work harder. You work harder when your boss acknowledges you.
Right. So, we're going to need you to have to come in and do some torturing on Saturday.
Yeah.
That's okay. I live here.
I believe you have my hot poker.
TPS stands for torture, pain,
Sadism.
sex, sadism.
Sadism is better.
Yeah. Torture, pain, sex. I heard there was something wrong with your torture, pain, sexism, sadism reports. So yes, he goes down to he's of course they put him against Porthos, the largest musketeer.
Well, before that, like I love that the musketeers come down, and then one of them's like, which path do we take? And I just love Oliver Platt's line reading of
I've never been
here before.
Oh.
It just seems so like extra.
that
Like, of course.
Again, these are definitely ad libs. There's no way they wrote that.
We never split up. This is we never,
especially when one of the guys has a bad gimp arm. You don't split up. So yeah,
Porthos versus Baron Harkonnen. Sorry, Travis.
Man, I did not expect this movie to include a wall of spikes that someone gets impaled on, and then like a panel of additional spikes falls down
and sandwiches you.
How is that an effective torture device?
It's not torture; it's murder.
Like
it's a murder
that'll
machine.
kill you no matter what. Like, put him in the spike trap. It's like you're not going to get any information out of him. You're just going to skewer him.
I believe it's called a spike sandwich.
Is there a way to like lower it slowly so it slowly
Squishes you?
Turning you into peanut butter and jelly?
Oh.
I mean, he takes care of him pretty quickly. He's out of it pretty quickly. There's no swords because the guy doesn't have a sword. He's just kind of like brute.
No, the guy shows up with a pretty heavy
Axe.
sword, but what happens is that he uses his big like log sword to knock Porthos's rapier out of his hand, and then Porthos is like, "Ooh, a hot poker! I'm going to burn you in the tush."
Poker in the rear.
Poker in the rear.
So he gets poked and then sandwiched, and so Dungeon Daddy's dead.
Gone too soon.
Gone too soon, Dungeon Daddy.
I do like he impales him, and then there's like you think he's dead, jump scare, and then squish.
Only in a Disney movie because there's very little blood in this movie.
Yeah. Porthos is good at chopping ropes and making people disappear.
And again, back to they keep cutting back and forth between the D'Artagnan Roachfort fight.
Yeah.
Roachfort is having the best time.
He's not taking this seriously.
He is
at
smiling. All. He is just. I think he's smiling because he's met his match. Not match, but he feels this is a worthy adversary. You know.
Well, he's going for, if he's got a punch card, there's like a D'Artagnan family punch card, and he's already got the dad, and now he's going after the son.
You know, I killed your grandfather too. What? Really?
Yeah, and he's all dressed in black, fighting a young upstart boy, and he's like impressive. You know,
yes,
as he's
most impressive.
Very Vader.
Sister.
And of course, Dart loses his sword. Okay, another thing I'm figuring out: every sword movie has got to have the climactic battle where one person loses their sword, and is he going to get it back? Or is he going to figure out another inventive way to kill the guy?
Is there something that exists in the sword world where having a little lanyard that goes off of the pommel of your sword and wraps around your wrist, is that like detrimental to the use of the sword enough that nobody ever does that?
I'm sorry,
so many people drop their sword. If it's on a lanyard, just pick it right back up again.
It basically has one. I mean, to get your hand out of that freaking mesh of bird's nest that they put around your hand anyway, your hand is basically encased in metal, and you still drop the sword. How's this possible?
Yeah,
I'm sure it's akin to like surfers that tie their surfboard to their ankles.
Yeah. So Rick wants it to be like a Wii remote.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
I want it to be like a Wiimote. That way, when you're sword fighting, your sword doesn't accidentally fly out of your hand and pierce your television.
So the worst case, if it does fall off, you can just start swinging your arm around before you get your hand back in it, at least. So
I see no drawbacks.
All right.
There's no way that can come back and hurt you.
Someone go add that to the list of things we need to make a t-shirt for. Make a t-shirt with a guy with like a little Wii remote. We need to do the Wii. It has to look like the Wii remote instructions where you're like showing someone how to like.
Yeah.
And of course the do not, and then you see a picture of a sword going through a TV.
Going into the TV. Yeah. So Rick's basically talking about the same technology that keeps kids from losing their mittens.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes it's good to have a little bit of outside help. as is showed off in this scene where Constance is just there.
Constance.
Have we seen her since she went to go find Queen Anne's robe?
Oh, what if she had Queen Anne's robe in her hands this entire time?
I finally found it. Oh no!
By the way, it was
Not
sopping
needed
wet.
right now.
It was sopping wet and covered in milk. So
Maybe wait until she's out of the bath next time.
Did you eat cereal in this? What's going on here?
And then she tosses D'Artagnan tosses the robe instead of the sword.
oh, shit. Well,
Oops, wrong hand.
They'll go right back to the beginning, highlighting
we do get another.
in people's faces.
We get the D'Artagnan complete flip over him.
Mhm.
Over Roachfort. Great move. Wonderful. Yes. And they fight. He gets rid of the sword. He finally gets him into. And then I like Roachfort goes to the kill. Like it's almost like turning your gun sideways. Like it's a kill move. It's a kill shot.
Kill
Takes
shot,
his hand and he takes the sword. Like I'm going to stab you in the chest now.
Yeah.
Not poke you in the chest. I'm going to stab
Enough.
you with two hands.
Yep. He's like,
to make blood fly up in his face when he
Yeah.
one thing is certain: you are no musketeer.
And then he gets thrown the sword. The sword lands in his hand. He pokes Roachfort. He pokes him very lightly in the chest, and Roachfort is done for.
I might have been mistaken.
Thank God, this actor, he can do a gurgle in his voice like he's been punctured, and it was like, he's like, I might be like he's got kind of like gurgle. I wonder if he used like a 7-Up or some sort of carbonated drink in his throat to kind of get him that. Has kind of a death rattle going on. I mean, the guy already talks like a death rattle, but you know, it's good.
I love
and he
I
gets a death in this movie where he does not get a death in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
I mean, they linger on his death here instead of like following the more important person out of the scene. Like they get a little bit of respect on Michael Wincott's name in this movie.
Yeah. Well, he did a lot. He lifted a lot of evilness because there's, the Richelieu is as Sean said, the walk and talk kind of evil, as opposed to we need like a man on the streets. We need a man, with a swordman.
I might have been mistaken a ad lib, you think, or an actual written scripted line. I might have been. It's just really funny, and I love that he's got you got to have a good death line. Like, fellas, we got to be ready. If we get killed, we need to be able to pop up one little thing like I might have been mistaken before.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that.
What's your favorite sword death line? I mean, the Kurgan doesn't get one. He just smiles and his head falls off backwards. Is there a movie that we've done so far that's had a memorable? You're like a memorable one. What movies have we done? Let's see. Mayax
gets tossed in the pit.
Yeah, Mayax gets tossed in the pit. No one really gets to have. I mean, the little guy gets his crushed. He's like screaming. That's kind of a fun death, but there's no real no real oh, you were a worthy adversary. This is our first kind of
I think it's the first.
Good on you, kid. Good job.
Yeah,
way to go.
Yeah, he goes from you're no true musketeer to I was wrong. You might actually be a musketeer after all. Good on you, son.
The reason I say that is because the musketeers always cheat, and I hate them, and they suck. And you're a cheater, just like your father and your grandfather, who I also killed, and I killed your uncle. And in case I didn't tell you, I killed your uncle. Also, remember when you were 6 and you had a cat? I beat that cat to death. Killed your cat. Also.
There are many ways to skin a cat, by the way.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing that D'Artagnan has Constance there to help him work through all of these revelations.
I can't believe she killed my cat.
Yeah, she doesn't say anything. She just kind of like crawls over to him and like puts her hand in his.
She doesn't get to say anything the rest of the movie.
No.
Her last lines were all the way back when she was the bath scene. Yep. Her last lines in the movie.
Well, Delpy's got a huge salary that they've got to pay for in every line.
It's every line. She's just her contract is insane. Let's talk about the fact that Roachfort dies in like the calmest way possible. He just kind of closes his eyes and
closes his eye.
eye. Well, he closed the other one. You didn't see it. They didn't cut off his eyelid. His eyelid's there, I assume. They don't talk about that a lot. Just because you get your eye poked out. In every movie you see when a guy's eye's poked out, there's like a giant hole, other than Nick Fury. It's not always a hole. Sometimes it's just the eye got poked out and all the stuff around it's still there. It's just kind of gross. And
they could have done a reveal where the eye patch gets cut away and it reveals that instead of an eye, it's a gun barrel and he has a little musket inside of his eye.
Oh my God.
It's a musket-tear.
All right, pack it up. We're good.
Yep.
Show can't get any better than
that. Hilarious.
But there's
so
more
we've taken care of one bad guy.
Yeah. Well, at least this has a proper final ending, though. This was not the ending of the movie. This is not a Beastmaster style. Well, we're done. Oh wait, we got to fight. Yeah, no. So they got rid of Roachfort. Now they are going into the sex dungeon. D'Artagnan's not with them. There's not going to be D'Artagnan. Does not show up in the sex dungeon.
Yeah,
he's done to the end of the movie.
Yeah.
When we get Kiefer fighting with one hand, doing a great job. Hey, he lets the people take care of one of them. I love it that he pushes them into like the.
Well, that was multiple MiGs. He was actually kept down there.
Gotcha. I don't get that joke. You said sorry, so I assume it's a joke.
It's Silence of the Lambs. Silence of the Lambs. It's not a song. It's a movie.
Oh, MiGs, right.
Oh, okay.
Multiple MiGs.
Do you hear one of them go? Do you hear one of them go? Free me! Now, some of them might be there for a good reason. We don't.
Right.
Like we don't know that they're all good people, right?
Yeah.
Or
they were just regular tourists visiting the castle.
And one
nothing wrong here.
I mean,
they're political prisoners.
Hold a poster down at a hotel.
This Cardinal Guard, he could have been pushed up against just like the thief den or like the arsonist's cage. You know, they gotta segregate these different types of prisoners based on their crime.
I like to think that he was pushed up against the sex crimes cage. That's the best cage.
SVU cage. Yeah.
I would love it if they pan by his cell and you see just a guy in the iron mask going, not this time, not yet, like Terrence Howard, not yet.
Later. Well, you have one hand on his top, one hand on his head, and then one hand comes up from underneath his crotch and like holds his junk from underneath. You're like,
could have pushed me up against any other cage, but it had to be the sex pervert cage. Come on, kill me now.
And then we're back in this non-set, which is the actual place. You know, they actually tied it in really well. They tied in the water underneath. Like obviously the steps that Kiefer's on are part of the real, like this real cave.
Kiefer's pants look split, by the way, when he comes down that rope.
Does he?
But I don't know. Or maybe it's just the cut of the pants.
That is the coolest that is the coolest way I've ever seen someone go down a rope in like a spinning motion so that your little cape flaps. Oh, it's so good. Also,
sword in mouth. I mean, we could do dagger in mouth, but a whole sword in your mouth. I mean,
you're right. His pants, they're not ripped. You know how in the back, this is the 1620s, you don't wear a belt. His pants were tied off. And that's like where the part that like, obviously Kiefer's got a big badunkadunk and it is trying to escape the pants.
Obviously he's got,
you know who noticed that sex guy in that cage, like, hey, your pants are ripped. In case you're wondering. I don't know why he's from New York, but you're
not representing the king very well, but
listen,
hey, look at that ass.
With all the pants tied in the back, it was really easy for people who wanted to like drop quarters down your butt crack because there was a nice little hole right there. You just
French quarters.
Right in. Yeah.
The French quarter. That's what that the French comes from.
Right.
Oh,
it's from a cold piece of steel put down your ass crack while you're fighting. You're like, God damn it. I got French quartered. Son of a bitch. I'll get that later. So the great back in the amazing real room of real cave in the water, and they're kind of like see you later, you missed me. No.
I would come back twice as strong, and it's like, okay, what's 2 times 0? Because you've got like no guys right now.
And I love he doesn't even blink when he's like, hey, it's already been signed. That's kind of hard since it never left France, and he's like. A minor inconvenience that I'm sort of kind of saying now. I'm kind of going with it.
Yes, and
yeah. He doesn't even do like a
well, I never.
Can Kiefer not yell? again, it sounds so painful when he's got to be like, that would be difficult. Get her in the treaties. You know, like it really sounds like he doesn't scream a lot in real life. Or I don't know. He doesn't know how to like yell. Like, I don't know. And with that gruff voice of his. Yeah.
But one of
also
the
Curry using the, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go on.
I was saying the Curry's using the acoustics of that real life cavern to great effect. It's, the voice.
So yeah, he unfortunately on the boat, there's a third musketeer.
Right.
Aha.
We lost sight of Aramis because he
Yeah.
wasn't fighting on the stairs or anything. And he throws off this black cloak. It's not the ferryman, it's Aramis. And he's like, you're not getting away because I'm going to stop you. And the king finally grows a spine.
Yes, he gets his George McFly moment.
Yep.
I wish he'd gone, oh, my hand. Oh. That'd have been good. I put my thumb inside my fist. Oh, I think I broke my thumb.
Yeah. King Louis punches Richelieu off the boat, and that
Get
splash
your
that you
damn
hear,
hands off.
that splash you hear is not Richelieu hitting the water. It's the sound of just Queen Anne getting so wet.
Oh God.
And she's looking like a total babe.
She
All
is-
disheveled. She's got that fire behind her.
And remember,
She's like-
she's pregnant.
She's like, I've
Oh,
never
yeah.
been more turned on in my life.
Of course.
That
Yeah,
at this
she's
moment.
she's naturally hot then. Yeah,
She is.
I'm sorry. I don't
Richelieu
need
dead?
to backtrack.
Richelieu can't swim. He's got too many hidden guns.
Well, he dies like General Zod did, and I mean, he just like falls down, and you're like, I guess he's dead. I don't know.
Should we check? Nah.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, it'd be great if you like saw a hand come out and has the papal ring on it out of the water, like with a question mark, like
The
oh,
end question mark.
Oh,
It's like
no.
Ming the Merciless.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ring the
I
merciless.
would love a deleted scene though. I'm sorry to backtrack, but the whole fact that Porthos goes and fights Pit Daddy, Athos has this huge swashbuckling fight with one arm down, basically. And I just want to see a deleted scene where Aramis comes out and he's like, he's split up as well. And he comes out and he's like, oh, there's the boat.
And he's like, he tells the ferryman, "Hey, get the hell out of here."
I guess I'll hide.
That's-
Well, it'd be really funny if it was the same ferryman as the one from Beastmaster who got his ferry taken over by Dar.
Not again.
And then he's like, oh, not again.
Oh, not again.
I can't catch a break.
And then it's your big Disney-fied sweeping ending
Yep.
where
That's
they
medal
all walk
ceremony
in.
time.
They all walk in lockstep to the front of the Musketeers all around him. Thank God little Lord Fauntleroy has changed into his horrible purple dumpy pants. Again, they don't fit his ass. This is the worst clothes ever.
And again, Chewie does not get a medal.
Nope.
This is awful. This ending, I hate it.
And they say, "Is this the man who saved my life?" I guess they're only
Sort of.
talking about the one thing with the guy with the musket, the assassin.
He did stop the assassin.
He stopped
He
the
did stop
assassin,
the assassin.
but there was a lot of other stuff that happened. But okay, sure,
Aramis actually saved you in the end.
yeah.
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 So
But
he goes, "What can I do to repay the courage you've shown me?" And it's like I'm waiting for what he's gonna, like. Is he going to ask for a brain? Is he going to ask for a heart, or maybe just the nerve? I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Like D'Artagnan's like, I really could use a long-term career that'll set me up for life.
Yeah.
Maybe something with a retirement package or a pension, maybe health insurance, that
Be
type of thing.
weirder. What if he said, "I met someone in the dungeon. I want to be the dungeon daddy. Can I now be the dungeon daddy?" And he like pulls out the collar. He's like, "Yes, you may be the dungeon daddy." And he does a little speech, kind of like you do. It's a little different. It's like when
Aw.
things are gross and sticky, people should come forward to take care of it. And if it kind of gets your rocks off, sure, I now grant you the ability to be dungeon daddy.
Gosh,
I will say
speaking
we have to afflict you with a mild skin condition as well.
Yeah.
To just kind of fit the part.
Gotta get the scabies.
Gosh, yeah. Athos is the one who says that D'Artagnan's heart desire is to become a musketeer, and I'm sure D'Artagnan is looking over at Constance and being like, "Well, I can have more than one desire."
Like,
in my
wait,
heart.
it's not like being a Jedi. Like, I can have a girlfriend, right? We talked about this.
No.
Right?
Constance herself said at the beginning of this movie when they met up by the windmill that musketeers and ladies in waiting are not allowed to cavort together.
Well, then I guess she's going to have to fire her as lady in waiting.
Yeah. I mean, we found out when we watched The Man in the Iron Mask that the rules are meant to be broken. Boundaries are meant to be crossed.
You're not also supposed to have sex with the queen, D'Artagnan. So obviously the handmaiden was but a stepping stone to him getting to rail the queen. And we'll talk, if you haven't listened, go listen to our stuff about Man in the Iron Mask.
Yeah, D'Artagnan had his own punch card.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Nailed her. How many people can I nail from the queen?
Right.
And next to the queen, I'm going after the king next. He owes me a favor. I'm gonna punch him next. Yeah, all the three musketeers are like, well, we did teach him winching, so
Yep. He's gotta live with it now.
Yeah, so he does his little speech, kind of like, your watch. This world is an uncertain realm filled with danger. Honor undetermined by the pursuit of power. Freedom sacrificed when the weak. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, but there are those who love to drink beer and winch and fight.
Yeah, and I love Porthos shedding a tear and Aramis looking at him like, "Get it together, man."
Yeah, man. What's wrong with you? And I love that the king had his moment of being a badass and then went back to being that horrible voiced.
He's such a little tiny boy.
He's such
a little boy.
What can I do for you? Let me just tell you about. It's because it doesn't sound cool. It's like freedom sacrificed, but there are those who oppose those powerful forces, and they are known as musketeers.
Everybody else.
Now let me show you my moon door.
Yes.
Make him fly, mommy. Make him fly.
Yes.
His milk lips.
Oh yeah, this kid is definitely suckled at the teat way too long. So yeah, he's now a musketeer. A guy comes out of nowhere and puts a uniform on him. I assume this is one of the costumers. Please be one of the costuming people. They just put in a costume and let them do it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I did notice when the musketeers like march out triumphantly, smiling. There's just a bunch of shit all over the floor. Like
it's the hats.
They're hats.
It's the hats.
It's the hats.
It's not shit. It's not like bags.
Well, it's just like who dumped all their crap.
Well, I mean, they don't have like
It's
satchels.
laundry day.
Yeah,
It's laundry day.
So.
And he kisses. They start cheering a little bit, but then he kisses the lady in waiting, and everybody's like, "Yeah!"
Last time that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And then the Queen song starts playing. He stands for every one of us. He's for every one of us. Stands for every one of us.
Yes.
And then we get a little bit of potential sequel baiting, I guess, where D'Artagnan says, "So what do we do now? What's next?
Yeah.
What's the next movie in line gonna be?"
Oh, you're not gonna like it. In the next movie, you die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just saw this as like two very disrespectful moves. First, they put their hats on inside, and then they turned their back on the king to walk away. It's just not right.
What if the king was like up there going, a lot of there are people that fight for truth and honor and rudeness. So yeah, they go outside it's our last shot of this wonderful building they used for most of this movie.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, "Hey guys, hey, new guy." This is when you start really like,
it's like, oh no,
him.
he's our coworker for real now. We're stuck with him.
You're basically an indentured servant. Shut up and shine my sword.
Yeah.
But it's a great ending with the D'Artagnan. He's back.
Yeah. Everybody chases Gerard and his butlers through the streets.
Yep.
And I'm just like, where are the horses? Like every movie needs to end. Every sword movie needs to end with some horses. Where's Clompy? Where's Clompy been for like an hour at least?
It was in our contract to be in this. And those sons of bitches, look, I'm in the background. You can see me. Look at the background when they're talking. I'm there. They could have easily gotten on top of me, but no.
Yeah. Get on top of me already.
I'm your dungeon daddy. I'm already wearing a collar. And they do the all for one and one for all, and then the entire, and then on all the. I love this. I remember seeing this in the movie theater and just getting such a kick out of it. So happy.
Yeah, suddenly every musketeer appears out of nowhere to chase them through the streets.
Because the musketeers are like, someone else has a beef with a musketeer. Everyone saddle up. We gotta go right this
Can
wrong.
we, I mean, it's just like I never get a break. Why is it always all of us for just one? Like the amount of people that might have a problem and the amount of people that are in the Musketeers, that means like we're constantly on. Like,
And then
just
I come
can't
up. I come up
relax.
behind Robin. I put my gloved hand on him. I'm like, Robin, it's not some for all and all for some.
Oh, you're right.
Listen, the major message at the end of this movie is that
Major
you can
message.
sleep with someone's sister, dishonor them, and then get away with it by getting a high-paying government job.
Wait. He didn't dishonor the sister. In my thoughts, at the beginning of the movie, it seems like it was consensual.
Yeah.
Well,
You've only
Well-
messed with the honor of a man it's not his honor. Unless she's pregnant. Maybe she's pregnant with twins.
Ooh.
Oh, no.
listen, the way Gerard saw it, any sort of interaction between D'Artagnan and his sister was dishonorable.
Mhm.
So they could have been doing anything, but maybe he like walked in and they were playing patty cake like in Roger Rabbit, and he's like, "Oh, this is dishonor. We must
So-
duel."
Once this is done, turn this off and go and listen to us talk about the Man in the Iron Mask. It picks up right after this scene.
The Patreon episode
right
is months
after this
old.
scene.
40 years later. 40 years later. Actually, that's something we have to talk about. If we talked about it in the Patreon. I'm saying that as if we did, because hopefully we did. In the Patreon, is that it's supposed to be 1690s in the Man in the Iron Mask, and that's 60 years from now.
That's so much longer.
Wow.
And it's like, no, because they keep calling them old. I mean, in this movie, they're in their 30s. In the next movie, the actors are in their 40s, mid 40s, but they're supposed to be old. But, again, in France in the 1600s, you're old at 40, 100%.
Save it. That was a little sneak peek at the conversation.
Well, these guys are
Join our
old too.
Patreon.
These guys are all also old.
Their actors
think-
are not.
No. So
Are we done
before
with
we get
the
into the
movie?
song,
This
Okay,
is-
I'm really excited about the song.
I
Oh
want
my
to, Robin, you need to ask Sean the question you ask every D'Artagnan. Well, he's not D'Artagnan. You got to ask him which musketeer does he think we are?
Oh yeah, which musketeer do you think that each of us are, or which actor, or are we? Which what
It's
are we?
musketeer. It's the person who played them. Like
It's Musketeer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Um, Yeah, it's tricky. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
Jonathan is obviously Porthos.
God damn it.
That's
Every
off the
time.
bat. That's the easy one. That's the
He's
easy
a definite Gerard Depardieu. You're right.
one. Yeah.
there's
Who's
something wrong with my
more,
penis. I'm so depressed.
kind of who's the more kind of worldly experienced leader, and then who's the more naive believer?
Am I pointing in the right? On my
No.
screen, I'm pointing in the right direction.
We're all in the different places.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I would say Rick is the Aramis, and Robin's our Kiefer. Robin's Athos there.
Oh my God. Is this
Yes.
the first time we've got a 100% correct answer?
Yes, I think
Yeah.
so. On the last one.
Woo.
Ring
And I am the
winter
only
bell.
one
And also,
that brings this to the table.
you forget Rick also had a
Damn it!
weird religious background. So
Yep.
he automatically
Yeah.
wins for what
There you
is it?
go.
Did you bring a Three Musketeer to the Three
I
Musketeers?
did. I did.
An actual musketeer.
Oh, hear that, everybody? I finally got one.
Are you excited to eat a Three Musketeer bar?
I am. And
You
it's
know
a
what the
share
problem is
size.
though? It tastes
No.
like Four Musketeers.
Oh God, it's good stuff, guys.
Oh, you should. You can't eat on Mike. That's awful. That's just
No.
I
bad.
would
All right.
never. I would
Now-
never.
I didn't catch it. Did you buy a king-sized Three Musketeers?
Oh, the king size. Yes.
Or the cardinal size.
Right.
It's the share size.
oh.
Oh, okay.
Which it's monstrous what the candy and snack industry has done to me as a person who's trying to be healthy and keep a good weight. Oh, everything's bigger now. Why is everything bigger?
Mhm.
I just want
Yeah.
like a bite. I want like a
Well, the
regular
cardinal
size
sized
candy bar.
is when you open up a cardinal size, a little gun comes out and shoots you in the face. You don't
As
see
it
that.
should.
I think that begs the question though. Considering you got a Cher size Three Musketeers, I would have preferred if Cher had sung the song for this movie.
Mm.
Yes, love you. No, that's not share.
I mean, why couldn't they have had Prince? Because he's at least closest to a king. is a
Exactly.
Prince. So I don't know. Well, instead they got everybody's favorite. Well, I mean, I don't understand Sting being involved. And also, when you listen to the song or watch the video, it doesn't seem like Sting wants to be there anyway.
No, he does not.
No.
It seems like he's just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just okay.
Oh, I've got.
Do you like
all
this
the dirt.
song, Sean? When you heard it at the end of this, had you heard it before? This "All for Love" shit song that they
I
play
did
at
hear
end?
the song. The song was kind of inescapable in the kind of mid 90s.
So you knew it existed.
I knew it existed. I knew there were three singers involved. I mean, I guess it's appropriate for the film. I don't know if it's quite good enough for top billing. Like
I agree.
above the director, above all the actors, above everyone. I don't know
Yeah,
if
it
it's
is
that good.
the first credit we see. We got to know
Yeah.
who does this song immediately.
Yeah, it bothers me that they show that information at the top and the bottom of the end credits. It is
Oh, they
the
repeat
first thing
it?
you see
Wow.
and the last thing you see.
It's like a spiked
Come on.
sandwich in the sex dungeon.
Yeah. I've got. All sorts of stuff
I can
about
only
this.
guess, and I don't remember. I was alive at the time, but I don't remember. I guess the Bryan Adams song from Robin Hood must have just been a huge hit.
Oh yeah, and I mean
2 years earlier.
That is, I think, what got Bryan Adams on Michael Kamen's Rolodex.
Sure.
So that way, when this movie rolled around, and I'm sure the Disney execs were like, "All right, we need a hit pop song out of that Michael Kamen score." Michael Kamen's like, "I know just who to call.
I know just the guy."
This actually, when it came out, it became the second Disney-related song to top the Billboard Hot 100 after A Whole New World. Whole New World it was obviously bigger than this, but it's crazy they got it so big.
What film
was
is
right up
that
there.
from?
Aladdin.
Am I supposed to recognize that? A Whole New World?
A Whole New World. Sorry, I didn't. Oh gosh, nobody knows music around here.
All right, sorry.
I think he was joking. I hope he was joking.
I am joking.
Was he joking?
Or is he joking? I don't know.
So I guess
But yeah,
with "All for Love" being
All for Love.
being a love song, is the subtext that this is kind of like a menage a trois type of situation where you've got
Ooh.
you've got
No,
three different lovers, and that it's all for love, all for one woman
made
that
it
they're all
dirty.
making love to at the same time.
No,
Oh, God.
it's love of country, love of king, brotherhood, musketeers. It's
Well, if it's
Get
all
your
for
mind out of
love
the
at
gutter.
one time, then that's now we know where that roundabout comes. That's around the Arc de Triomphe that came from this sex move, where it's just a lot of stuff coming, a lot of different roads feeding into
a
one.
lot of different roads.
It's
And if there's
surprising
nothing to-
how many sexual positions are named after Paris landmarks.
Sure, the Eiffel Tower, famously,
Yeah.
Menage a Trois,
the Arc de Triomphe.
the
It was
the
originally.
Louvre. That's when you just put it in an old dusty lady, I guess.
This was originally going to be called All for One, but then apparently Mutt Lang here told
Yeah.
Bryan Adams, he's like, it's pretty good, but I can't see them dropping their knickers for it in Kansas. So, so that was an actual quote. So Bryan
Wow.
changed it to All for Love. So there was a whole rivalry between Sting and Rod Stewart. Did you watch the video? Do you see how he comes in? Rod is actually like 2 hours late or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And he's just like, hey, String. And Sting's like, you old coot. Yeah, there was like a rivalry between them. Sting, I have from an interview, says, we had a plane in America. Rod had used it the night before for his gig. We took it over the next day, talking about the police. He's like, so I sit down at the table and they're very intricately carved it says, where's your fucking sense of humor, you miserable git String? And he's like,
Goodness.
I see this. I get the stewardess. What's this? He's like, I'm sorry. I was going to explain. Rod Stewart did this yesterday. And I said, a 50-year-old man sat here for a half an hour, wrote me this message. I don't believe it. But I guess he got him back by like sending somebody to lock the gates to his mansion while he was away. Like
oh jeez.
giant chains. They had to cut it right open. And then it immediately was like, where's your sense of humor?
1% humor.
Yes,
I
I love
took
it
all-
when billionaires go after each other.
I took all the
So I
I took
got
all
him
the
on my-
fuel out of your jet.
Yeah, I got him on the private plane. Can I do one of my favorite things I like to do for this podcast? Let's
Just
talk
ask
about
for permission to do something.
Can I pull that's my that is actually so my second favorite thing is to ask you guys how old you think each of these guys are, because it's
We went over
Is-
this. Wait, which
Bryan
guy? Wait.
Adams.
Oh, Brian.
Sting,
Oh,
and Rod
these
Stewart.
guys. Oh,
All right. Well, Rod Stewart's like what, 60 at the time?
Oh God, this kills me. Really? You're gonna see Rod Stewart 60. Well, of course, he's lived a harder life than me, but he is the exact same age as me, 48. In this video, he is
Okay.
48 years old at this point.
okay.
So he's the old coot, my age. I just don't have the hair. I wish I had the hair. How old do you think Sting is?
Oh,
45.
well,
46. He can't be much younger.
This is like only 9 years after he appeared in Dune, because Dune was like what, 87,
Oh man,
84.
he's hot in Dune.
84.
84. He's hot in Dune.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sorry, Travis.
I don't know, like 36?
Sorry, Travis.
42. 42.
42. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So him
Holy
and-
shit! So he's a baby.
so
Yeah.
Baby Sting.
Rod Stewart was 48.
He's
Sting
42.
Sting was 42.
Brian
Bryan
Adams
Adams was what?
is-
37.
He's 34, actually.
34.
He's a young man.
So I think
Wow.
all three of these guys are older than the Musketeers in the movie.
Yeah, they
If I
are.
remember right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, good. Now we can never talk about this song again. Great.
Exactly.
Oh, we're not going to start singing along?
No.
No.
I will
we-
defend, I will fight.
There's something more important that we need to do. We
Hmm.
need to discuss whether or not this movie gets our sword.
Mm,
Ooh.
100%.
Yeah. Absolutely 100% this movie gets my sword.
It's a lot of fun. I'm glad I picked it. This was my pick. If anybody doesn't remember it, like if you're upset about Hawk, you're upset about Beastmaster, those weren't my picks. This was my pick. So I'm glad you had a great season, everybody. We're going to definitely go into, somebody else's movie next.
What about you, Sean? Having seen it only this week, like, does it get your sword? Will you ever rewatch this? Do you think?
Ooh. I would give it a sword. Yeah, I'd say it's a good film. The firearms notwithstanding, I figure it's a good flick. Yeah, I could see giving it a rewatch. Probably, I'll let it settle for a little bit, but maybe at some point when I'm not under the pressure, the pressure of preparing for a podcast. Yeah, just throw it on and think back to younger days when Sting was only in his 40s. So,
And Kiefer Sutherland was in his 30s.
But he was like 29, right?
Yeah. That's right. He was 29. Good Lord.
has Oliver Platt ever looked better in a film? Action star Oliver Platt here.
This and Sleepers or whatever it was,
Yeah.
those are like, this is probably the sexiest he's ever been because they let him be kind of Oliver Platt, I assume.
Yeah.
I hope this is Oliver Platt's default state. I know he's like now kind of an actor's actor. He's kind of gone on to become kind of he's not being super successful. Like he's not a huge star, but no one doesn't want to work with him. Like he's continuously worked his entire career. So everybody likes him.
He's a character actor at this point, or
I mean, he's on
definitely
his own
that
show.
guy.
I mean, he's on his own show. He leads his own shows, but I would say he's a famous character actor.
Mm.
Because before he was always just the buffoon friend.
and Charlie Sheen. So anyway,
And Charlie Sheen.
Well, and Tim Curry in one of his most restrained performances, really amazing. I mean, if you're just coming through, watching Clue or something like that, or Muppet Treasure Island, where Tim Curry is just over the top, like he really kind of reins it in, and appropriately, for this character. He's got a few lines that he hams it up, but for the most part, he's he's restrained.
Yeah,
he carries
he's good at
himself
it.
with the weight of the office which he is portraying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they've said, they're like, you can't be the comic relief of the movie. You can be evil in a fun way. And I think that's what he and Roachfort did. They both were evil in a really fun way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Top-notch movie. Top-notch movie. So we want to talk about, before you get to next time and yell it out, Rick, do you want to talk about what we're going to do next time? Like what movie we're going to talk about?
So the way we've been doing our movies is we had obviously one or two that we started with, and then we went into a rotation. And if I'm remembering right,
my rotation. It's mine.
Yeah, it's so
This
this
is my
next
pick.
movie. This was a Robin pick. Red Sonja was a Rick pick, which means that this next movie is a Jonathan pick. So, Jonathan, do you want to?
Sure.
I don't want to say defend yourself.
No, I would defend myself because I picked Hawk the Slayer for my first pick ever. Okay.
No, that was we have to talk about that movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those ones. Yeah, this is one of the ones that's been on our list since the beginning. It was top 5, I would say. It's a movie that I wouldn't say it was near and dear to my heart when the movie came out. I loved the toys, if that helps in the tease. It's He-Man and it's the Masters of the Universe. A movie that from 1987 that I'm excited to talk about because I haven't watched this one a million times. I've probably seen it twice.
Me too. I do not remember. Again, another movie
I remember it being. I remember I watched it for a bad movie podcast I was watching. So I remember I watched it and went, what the fuck is this? So going back in as more of a sword movie, I'll be interested because I believe there's only a couple of swords in the movie, and I'm worried that it's the least amount of swords we've had so far. I think we're going to find out, but I think it can't be passed over or become a TC Boo on Patreon. I think it is one that people genuinely enjoy. And I think as for a certain age, I am almost 50. For an age probably 10 years younger than me, this was their Beastmaster. I feel that this was their Beastmaster. It's kind of a cheesy movie, but still fun. Great actors playing the bad guys, all this kind of stuff. So super excited about it.
First Lundgren.
It is our first Lundgren.
Yep.
I don't know how many Lundgrens we're going to get.
So many. It's our first Cox.
Yeah, it is. So this is our just like this was probably our only what's his name? The D'Artagnan.
Only O'Donnell.
This is a Chris O'Donnell movie. This is probably going to be our only Chris O'Donnell movie.
Circle of Friends on Patreon.
I don't think he has. Oh, a Circle of Friends. It's another name for a cul-de-sac, which is another name for the move that Rick was talking about.
Yeah.
An all for one,
An all for one,
and one
all
for love. Yeah.
Yeah.
So so in 2 weeks we'll retool and be back. Grease up your abs. and
we'll be here by the power of Grayskull, I believe. Right?
Absolutely.
And it'll be this is our only it's funny, in all of our movies we've done, this is our third movie where the lead grasp of the English language is tentative at best because of it's not his fault, but if you hear him now, he almost has no accent. But at the time of this and Rocky 4, he had a pretty pronounced accent that he's trying to get rid of in the movie. So I can't wait to work through that. Tom Paris from Star Trek Voyager is in it. Courtney Cox is in it, straight from the Springsteen video, and Billy Barty, I believe. I'm not even looking at anything.
Frank Langella.
Billy Barty is under there somewhere.
Frank Lemongello, as I have always called him. If you've ever seen Fletch 2, I've called him Frank Lemongello for his entire career. I will never call him anything but. So super excited to see this movie.
Yep. So join us, because next time, from the Cannon Group comes a Golden Globus production directed by Gary Goddard and starring Dolph Lundgren and Frank Langella. At the center of the universe, on the planet Eternia, the evil Skeletor has taken control of Castle Grayskull. Opposing him is Prince Adam, also known as He-Man, and his resistance fighters. With the help of the Thenurian inventor Gwildor, He-Man and his allies infiltrate Castle Grayskull, but are forced to flee through a portal that transports them to another world. The battle for control of Castle Grayskull begins in Cut 1 of 1987's Masters of the Universe.
Here we are.
And to save money, they go to 1987 Los Angeles. Just like in Beastmaster 3, Portal of Time. So it'll be interesting. Before we go, we should probably ask Sean, because I know he's got some podcasts out there. Sean, you got anything you want to promote? He's shaking his head no. You have nothing you want to talk about?
I do have some other podcasts. If folks want to head on over to nextscenepod.com. I've got a show there, Next Scene Podcast. We mainly do holiday specials. every year around Hanukkah, Christmas time. We've done Home Alone. We've done Home Alone 2, all the Home Alones. This past year, we talked about Pee-wee's Big Adventure for our holiday film, but you go check that out. And then coming up later in 2024 or earlier in 2024, depending on when you're listening to this, I'll be doing Casablanca Minute, where I cover the Warner Brothers classic from 1943, Casablanca 1 minute at a time. And that's at casablancaminute.com.
Since we're recording on St. Patrick's Day, have you ever thought about doing the holiday St. Patrick's Day and doing a Leprechaun episode? You know, because it is a holiday.
Yeah, it is a holiday. We could do it as a holiday special. Do like The Quiet Man or What About Bob, or any of the various movies associated with the holiday. Sure.
Like a spring. We could do a spring break movie. Is there a movie called Spring Break? Wasn't there like a sexual?
Sure,
like
There's got to be at
sex
least a
movie
half a dozen. At least.
called Spring Break or something.
I'm sure there are
Spring
plenty
Breakers.
80s sex comedies that involve spring break. So
That's a different kind of sword.
yeah. Different kind of sword. Different kind of clang.
Thanks for being on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. This was a delightful surprise when the invitation came through. I was like, it was one of those things where like, all right, I assume it's a prank. I'm going to hang up. This can't be real. But no.
Do you want to guess?
He's pulling a prank on you the same way that Sting pulls pranks on Rod Stewart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got home and my mansion was locked up. And,
Classic
it
Robin.
got me again, Robin. No. But thanks a lot for having me. This was lots of fun, and looking forward to MOTA, or MOTU.
Yeah.
MOTU. So
O2.
So yeah, until next time, find us all our stuff on swordboys.biz and our Patreon at patreon.com/swordboys.
Yep.
Slash as in slash, like a normal slash, not the word slash, not it written out, just slash swordboys.
Is a guitar solo involved?
Yep, and follow us along on Patreon because there's a lot of extras. So yeah. So until next time, clang clang,
Clang, clang.
All for one.
Clang.
and
And
one
all
for
for
all.
One for all.
D'Artagnan!
Oh!